It's 10 p.m. in Banjul, and this is the news hour. Coming in the next 60 minutes. Dead but not forgotten, musician Laingom recounts the musical journey of the late Musa Afyangom. A 3-year intervention designed to protect Gambian workers whilst ensuring economic advancement, dubbed Decent Work Country program, takes off the ground. Gambian scientists and representatives of stakeholder institutions explore means of promoting research in the Gambia through Partnership for Sustainable Socio-Economic Development. Berlin warns Moscow and Washington against actions that could lead to open conflict. This as the major powers pound targets in war-ravaged Syria. And thousands of migrants and refugees continue to pour into Germany against the backdrop of stiff opposition from within the ranks of Chancellor Angela Merkel's governing coalition. This and much more coming in the next 60 minutes. I am your presenter, Fatma Tandoor Job. The Decent Work Country program, which covers the period 2015 to 2017, has been launched. The intervention designed to protect workers and ensure greater reward for their efforts comes courtesy of the International Labour Organization and the Ministry of Trade, Industry, Regional Integration and Employment. Aisha Decatur witnessed the launch, and this is her report.
To sharpen focus on the attainment of decent work for all in the Gambia. It was for this reason that the International Labour Organization, in partnership with the government of the Gambia, under the stewardship of the Ministry of Trade, gathered stakeholders to launch the Decent Work Country Program 2015-2017.
In November 2010, the government, in collaboration with its social partners, namely employers and workers' organizations, embarked on the process of activities with the primary objective of putting in place Decent Work Country program for the Gambia.
The DWCP seeks to complement the main thrust of the country's development agenda, which seeks to improve inter alia employment levels, per capita income, social services, gender equity, and the Gambia's economic competitiveness.
We are gathered here today to witness the start of a journey, as already alluded to by Dennis, on which the government of the Gambia is ready and proud to accompany the crusade to reach the ambitious goal of decent work for all women and men in the Gambia. Efforts have been made to establish the necessary regulatory framework, such as regularizing the minimum wage bill through the Joint Industrial Council and publishing in the National Gazette the Occupational Health and Safety Regulations.
The UN system in the Gambia is committed to supporting the government in generating decent work opportunities and to responding to various development challenges. Through the current United Nations Development Framework, UNDAF 2012 to 2016, the UN addresses employment creation under its first pillar on poverty reduction and social protection, specifically under Output 1.3, which is increased employment opportunities for vulnerable groups, including youth, women, refugees, and provide access to enhanced markets.
The Decent Work Program looks at 3 major national priorities, and they include decent and productive employment for sustainable growth and poverty reduction, enhanced social production, health and safety of workers at the workplace, and the elimination of child labor, particularly in its worst form, as well as enhancing socio-economic governance through social dialogue and tripartism.
The priorities identified in these country programs are done and are the prerogative of the member states themselves. And as you know, the ILO works in what is called a tripartite structure, meaning we work with governments, we work with the private sector through the employers' representatives, but we also work with the trade unions who represent the workers. Now it's up to these structures to determine what the priorities are. And after these priorities have been determined, then through this discussion and consultation with ourselves, we then decide on how we're going to support these member states in meeting their priorities.
The Decent Work Country program being launched today will be an integral part of the next UNDP framework for the Gambia and is expected to be used by ILO and other UN agencies as an engine for the reduction of poverty and creation of wealth for the citizenry, thereby paving the way towards a more beneficial and inclusive growth for all. Aissatou Keita, GRTS.
A staggering 40,000 textbooks have been donated to a number of schools by the Rotary Club of Banjul. Louis Mendy witnessed the handing over of the massive package to beneficiary schools, and he now tells us more on that.
The Rotary Club of Banjul Saturday made available a 40-foot container of textbooks to nursery, lower, upper, and senior secondary schools to aid the realization of the education-related MDGs the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education is poised to achieve, one of them being the quality. Embedded in the package were the English at your command, psychology, science, everyday spellings, and math textbooks.
There are also significant quantities of reference books, novels, and general interest reading. Even students in tertiary institutions can find very useful materials here. The book project was taken up by Rotary Club of Banjul because of our conviction that there is the need to fill a textbook supply gap in the school system, especially in public schools. We believe that because of the nature of the three main subjects involved, science, maths, and English, the contents of these books are very relevant and useful in our schools.
The development once again demonstrated what the Rotarians stand for, a gift to the world, as they continue to dedicate their time and resources to the needy, and this time round to better education.
All we need is resourcefulness on the part of the teachers. I believe there is a lot of that in our dedicated teachers, especially among those in the public sector. The books have been sorted, arranged, and will be given out in lots of 30, 40, and 50 books per subject per school, depending on the class, so as to ensure that each child in a particular class that is using the book will have one for their use. Ladies and gentlemen, I recommend these books to all teachers, and we in Rotary hope that they will be fully utilized and also properly handled.
At the science lab in Carnifing, also built, furnished, and donated to the Education Ministry by the Rotarians, principals, headmasters, and teachers gathered to select books they think could make a difference in their schools. 40,000 was the total number of books in the store.
All beneficiaries, schools, are required to give us a feedback on the extent of the usefulness of the books in their teaching and learning process. The feedback is particularly important for our periodic reports to our partners through Second Wind Foundation. We trust that you all give us your full cooperation in this regard.
The Rotarians' generosity to schools was facilitated by the Sister Rotary Club of Kenosha in the United States of America.
Fellow Rotarians, distinguished guests, Rotary movement is rooted on vocational service. The second avenue of service of Rotary, this hinges on three principles. First, to accept and promote high ethical standards in all professional relationships with other persons. Second, to recognize the value and dignity of every profession. Third, to consider the profession of every Rotarian as a vehicle for action in service to society in general.
Take a listen to Dr. Brahma Jame's advice to beneficiary schools on the usage of the books as the Director of Curriculum at the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education.
Catalog these materials in your libraries and encourage students to use them in their libraries so that when you look at the borrowing, the lending, and the returning of the books, you will be able to provide quality feedback. Because I think what I understand from Rotary, they are in for quality. And our utilization and our reporting should be correspondingly of a quality.
The beauty about the textbook package is that some of them came with teaching guides for instructors. Louis Mendy, GRTS.
The Ebola epidemic that wreaked havoc in the three Mano River countries in 2014 and later reared its head in Nigeria, although briefly, harmed the Gambia's tourism industry because of the way the media generalized what was a challenge. Now, leading stakeholders like Gambia Tourism Board and its partners are using a range of measures like the annual In-Country Destination Stakeholders Forum to inject some new life into the major foreign exchange earner and huge employer. The Minister of Tourism and Culture was among those who addressed the two-day interface, and here's an excerpt from his speech.
Because of the PR and marketing firms. So to you, as I've indicated earlier, a special welcome. I think it is appropriate for us to perhaps take stock and have a brief reflection in terms of the year or the season that we have just left behind. The Ebola. Why am I making reference to the Ebola year? I think it's important because we have to face facts and deal with realities. If we look at the previous season of 2013-2014 and compare it to 2014-2015, we would see that we had realized or we had suffered a 42% drop in our arrival numbers. 42% is quite a lot. But we thank God we've been able to survive, and we are now at this particular point in time, and we're seeing improvements in terms of our arrival numbers. And the expectations are high. Everybody is upbeat, and indicatively, from feedback that we have gotten from hotels and ground tour operators alike, there is light at the end of the tunnel. What does this decline of 42% during the Ebola year mean for our 2020 target of attracting 500,000 tourists? It means two things. It means that, one, we have to work harder than we have worked in the past because we have a dent. 42%, we have to come out of that 42% drop, and then we have to begin to grow positively again. At our last meeting with the PR and marketing firms, we had said that from the various countries from which you operate, the countries that you cover, there was need for us as an industry and for you, by way of your contribution, to grow the arrival numbers from your respective coverage destinations 15% year on year. Of course, that figure is now history. We have to look at the new figure, and the new figure is 18.2%. And that is the case now against 2020. Why? Because we have to catch up, and then we have to begin to grow again at the rate that we expected to grow. The 18.2% growth, we have taken a look at this, and we, as usual, feel that we have to collaborate and work with you to realize that seemingly higher percentage than previously, 18.2 compared to 15%. Here, gathered.
Tourism and Culture Minister Benjamin Roberts there addressing participants at a recent tourism-related confab. Verve International, a Pan-African chip and PIN payment card company, is seeking to set up shop in the Gambia. The firm, said to be the biggest of its kind in Nigeria, on Wednesday briefed journalists on its operations. Winifred Nicol was there, and she reports Verve International wants to partner with the Central Bank of the Gambia, commercial banks, and other financial institutions with a view to ensuring widespread usage of its facilities.
Verve International is a card scheme for banks in Africa. The automated scheme is issued by the Pan-African Company, and the automated chip plus PIN payment EMV card is set for use in the Gambia. The group Wednesday convened a joint press briefing with the Central Bank of the Gambia, banks and financial institutions, aimed at driving issuance, usage, and acceptance of the Verve card in the Gambia to facilitate a secure Pan-African exchange, as well as promote trade and electronic commerce. Verve International, a Pan-African chip plus PIN payment EMV card, prides itself the biggest payment card in Nigeria, with an estimated 32 million payment tokens across Africa. with the majority of its users based in Nigeria's vast and lucrative market. InterSwitch is the parent company, a Pan-African integrated payment processing and transaction switching company.
Africans are very unique people. They like their cards to do so many things for them that are unique within the African environment and African markets. So they are very particular about cost, yet they want a very multifunctional card, a card that will recognize the peculiarities in the African market. So we are very unique in that sense, because first and foremost, we're concerned about the security of transactions in Africa. We're concerned about the currencies of transactions, because transactions have to be settled, and once we are taking cognizance of the domestic currencies in Africa, exchange rate fluctuations and all that. So they all, basically it takes care of the needs of the African market.
Known for its secure, affordability and profitable scheme, 8 of the leading financial institutions in the Gambia have joined other African countries like Nigeria, Kenya and Uganda to launch this payment scheme, which provides convenience and control of cash needs, be it individual or corporate entities.
The benefits of payment cards and electronic-based transactions have become obvious and visible in many countries around the world. It is interesting to note that more recent success stories about electronic payments are being recorded in developing countries, even in Africa. Emerging markets like Kenya, Nigeria, and Ghana, which are similar to ours in the Gambia, are becoming reference points and case studies for other developed economies. This further strengthens the central bank's confidence and resolve to put Gambia on the map of leading electronic payment economies. This can only be achieved if we work together as an industry and if we can get the necessary guidance and support from experienced providers like Verve International.
Verve cards in the Gambia will be used for cash withdrawals from virtually any ATM in the country, and will also be accepted as means for payment at shops and stores, and will usher in new customer payment points and payment experiences, including internet payments, mobile payments, and purchase of airtime and bills.
While the central bank remains steadfast in its desire to promote the growth and adoption of electronic payments in the country, we are also mindful of the critical success factors that are pertinent to realizing this vision. One of such key factors is security. All stakeholders here today have the common responsibility to ensure that users of the electronic payment system can transact safely and are not put at risk of being exploited by fraudsters. The central bank has taken the first bold step by issuing a directive to all commercial banks to begin the conversion of all payment cards and ATMs to a more secure status known as EMV. This effectiveness of EMV security in combating payment card fraud has been proven globally. The EMV chip card provides an enhanced secured standard compared to the previously issued cards. It reduces the exposure to fraudulent exploits from counterfeit or stolen cards.
The hope is that commercial banks and financial institutions in the Gambia joining the Verve scheme, and those who have already done so, will benefit mutually from the satisfaction that its customers will derive thereof. Reporting for GRTS News, I'm Winifred Nicol.
Stakeholders led by the National Disaster Management Agency gathered in the North Bank region on Tuesday to commemorate the International Day for Disaster Risk Reduction. The theme for the 2015 celebrations is Knowledge for Life. And as Ibrahim Majalo reports, the need to include local knowledge in disaster risk reduction strategies was highlighted in Karawan.
Disasters are often come with devastating consequences, given the magnitude of its impact on the lives of people and their communities around the world. October 13 is set aside to commemorate the unfortunate phenomenon, hence the Karawan Convergence. The Gambia government, through the National Disaster Management Agency NDMA, in conjunction with the World Food Programme Country Office, took a leading role in Tuesday's event. The colorful ceremony began with a march past by school children, led by the Frafni Squad Band, from the governor's residence to the regional education grounds, where the event was held. In his welcoming remarks, the chairman of Kerawan Area Council, Alhaji Lamin Sise, extended gratitude to partners such as WFP and ADWAC for collaborating with NDMA in commemorating World Disaster Day.
I will start to clap my institution, that is Kerawan Area Council, in partnership with NDMA. In this endeavor, security be paramount in it. So therefore, I also salute you and welcome you to this day on behalf of the regional governor.
For his part, the Executive Director of National Disaster Management Agency, NDMA, Lieutenant Colonel Alhaji Sane, recognized the importance of the day, which he said provides the platform for a global reflection on the realities of disaster and the need to adopt traditional knowledge as new strategies to reduce recurrence of disaster. Colonel Sane further reiterated his institution's position in tackling disaster-related issues in the country.
The National Disaster Management Agency joins the world to celebrate the International Day for Disaster Reduction. The rationale is to promote a global culture of prevention and reduction on the incidence of disasters at all levels. The participation of the Gambia, ladies and gentlemen, in this important commemoration provides a strategic window of opportunity for us to join the international community to work towards the realization of the 5 priority pillars of the Yogo Framework for Action designed for 2005 to 2015.
The World Food Programme Country Representative Victoria Ginger said, disaster has become an issue that continues to be a threat to the well-being of people and communities around the world. According to the WFP official, disaster accounted for a total of 5,000 cattle deaths resulting from an outbreak of livestock disease in the country a couple of years ago. She therefore welcomed the idea of involving local communities in disaster mitigation strategies, while commending NDMA for taking a leading role in this drive.
The International Disaster Risk Reduction Day that we are commemorating today highlights the value of traditional, indigenous, and local knowledge in disaster risk reduction.
The governor of North Bank region, who spoke on behalf of the Gambian leader, highlighted government position in addressing disasters.
In 2014, 19.3 million people were newly displaced by disasters, many of which are exacerbated by climate change. The negative consequences affect investment in sustainable development and the desired outcomes, thus threatening social establishments and supporting norms everywhere. This means that at local level, capacities need to be strengthened urgently. The Sendai Framework for Disaster Risk Reduction is people-focused and action-oriented in its approach to disaster risk reduction and applies to the risk of small-scale and large-scale disasters caused by man-made or natural hazards, as well as those related with environmental, technical, and biological hazards and risks.
The ceremony ended with the presentation of a multi-hazard regional contingency plan funded by WFP. Ibrahima Jallo, GRTS News.
Apart from adding color to our food and making them look more appetizing, vegetables help prevent the occurrence of a broad range of lifestyle diseases that are on the rise in the Gambia. Fatih Janembai has more on why we should be eating more of those types of food.
Vegetables are naturally low in fat and calories and are loaded with vitamins and nutrients that are needed for our health and maintenance of the body. Most of these vegetables are fiber-rich, which helps lower cholesterol and reduce the risk of heart disease and other illnesses.
It's important to note that people in this country don't consume much of these fruits and vegetables. But consuming fruits and vegetables automatically help us to maintain healthy body and also to help us in the maintenance of the body. For vegetables, we know that although people do cook them, overcook them, but some of them don't need to be cooked so much. Because if you do that, you are losing most of the nutrients that is more valuable for the individual. So it is simple like vitamin C and also the vitamin A's. Very important, and I think it's important for the people to know that having, these fruits and vegetables helps you to get adequate amount of vitamin C and vitamin A.
It is a well-known fact that the consumption of fruits and vegetables in our everyday diet do provide some health benefits. Mr. Njai, however, shared some of those benefits with us.
Basically, if you look at the fruits, for example, fruits, let's go with the fruits. It has so many sources. And you have potassium, you have folate, you have also fiber. We know that fiber in the food also helps in the effective functioning of the digestive system. And that is why it is important to consume these fruits. And for the potassium, it's very important in helping us to address the issue of, for example, stroke and other cardiovascular diseases. And that is why it's important to consume fruits, because of the importance of getting potassium. And for folate, because it helps us in the formation of the red blood cells. And then for folate, you know, we call it folic acid. And this is one that helps in the production of red blood cells. So therefore, and this is very important for pregnant women, because when they deliver, they might need blood. And when some of them, they also need some blood and other things. So basically, them consuming fruits and vegetables is very important for them.
Knowing their importance in our nutritional diet, however, not many people consume vegetables. As a result, we went out and about to conduct some interviews to find out how many people eat vegetables on a daily basis.
Every day I eat vegetables because it is advised by medical people it's good for our health.
I just don't understand, but I don't like it as a person.
Yes, I do like vegetables. For the average Gambian, I think most of us eat vegetables on a daily basis, considering we eat rice and whatever we cook it with, there must be some vegetables in it. So I can say every day.
So you really like it?
I do, not all vegetables, but I do love some vegetables. For instance, carrots, cabbages, you know. The ones that you could actually enjoy. I don't like tomatoes. I don't like cucumbers. So, yeah, that's it.
Again, I'm trying to gain weight. So, I actually stick away from the healthy eating just to gain a little bit of weight. So, my diet is strictly junk. So, I don't really eat vegetables a lot.
I do eat vegetables a lot. And thank God these days my husband decides to eat vegetables more than meat and beef. He prefers vegetables, so it helps me a lot. We eat vegetables every day and we eat fruits every day, me and my husband.
The Health Promotion and Education Director has this piece of advice for non-vegetable eaters.
What we want to see in our foods, on top of the food, is a variety of vegetables and not so much of meat. But if we can have adequate fish, fine, but with adequate amount of vegetables on top of the food. And the children should be taught to be eating these vegetables at an early age, so that by the time they grow, they also see the need of consuming vegetables.
Well, the fact is, any type of vegetable count, whether fresh, frozen, raw or cooked, it doesn't matter. Now, the next time you're cooking at home or you visit a restaurant, make sure that plate is filled with vegetables. Reporting for GRTS News, I am Fatou Janimbai.
National Research Conference held under the aegis of the Ministry of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology has been focusing on research programs that have a bearing on governance, infrastructure, funding and partnerships. Kumbaba has more on the convergence that have promoting research in the Gambia through Partnership for Sustainable Socio-Economic Development as a team.
Promoting research in the Gambia through Partnership for Sustainable Social Economic Development is the focus of this international conference organized by the Ministry of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology. The meeting is aimed at providing a platform for national and international researchers to share experience as well as create an efficient roadmap for the formulation of policy research systems in the Gambia. The presence of these international experts and stakeholders from South Africa and Senegal will provide tangible results in the promotion of research in the Gambia and Africa at large, as issues surrounding the African continent will be discussed during the session to identify standing activities in the field of higher education and research.
The first time ever
in the history of our country, dear nation, that the National Research Conference in the Gambia is being organized. These 2-day conference, where the relations are going to center around a well-thought-out theme, which is promoting research in the Gambia through partnerships for sustainable socio-economic development is befitting. And up to, like the Permanent Secretary, Dr. Barry mentioned, for an international forum of this nature. It's no more a national forum, but it's an international forum.
The head of the South African delegation highlighted the need for effective collaboration to develop an efficient working system in promoting research and innovation in Africa.
That the relationship between the two countries remains strong, but more importantly, the utilization of science and technology and innovation to the betterment of our people remains a priority.
This conference is set to be timely when African countries are on the move to promote sustainability of research. The Senegalese representative, however, assured their continued support and partnership.
And all these efforts are geared toward improving the life of the people. And this cannot be done without domesticating science and technology. Therefore, I think it's very important that this conference is being held.
The participation of this high-profile delegation to discuss partnership promotion and issues hindering the advancement of research and innovation in Africa will have a great impact on local experts towards the achievement of all sustainable development goals in the Gambia. Kumaba, Grts News.
Gambians from all walks of life have been reacting to the unexpected demise of Gambian musician Musangam, and the latest to add his voice to that of several others is musician Laingam, who said Musangam's death has created a gaping hole in Gambian music. Musa Afie died in Dakar on Sunday after staging the first in a series of comeback shows. Babakar Senghor has more on the life and times of Musangam.
In one of his articles, Legends, the messenger, Musa Afie Ngom Akasa, leading showbiz commentator and writer Okudrame, describes the late music great as God sent to be a singer, and written on his star shine. Senegalese all-time leading ballad star and global icon Youssou Ndour refers to him as the friend of all. It is testament to Musangom's enduring legacy and his remarkable work in the music industry that his death was received in Senegambia with universal grief and sadness. The sub-region was united in paying tribute to a true great and one who gave up much of his time to preach the gospel of unity and togetherness, social justice and cultural issues, all of which were highlighted in his many songs, a lot of them hit songs that remain relevant long after their release. Musa's story began in the far-flung settlement of Fatuto in the Upper River region. Although born in the eastern part of the Gambia, Afie Ngom will later spend much of his adult life in Banjul, and his first brush with music occurred while he was in the city. His talent was on show, and it seemed there was nothing stopping the young singer. Local music group Sangamar helped take his talents to even greater heights. But was this enough for Musa?
Musa has a very nice high tenor. His voice special. That's his weapon. I mean, in whatever language he will sing, people got thrilled. I mean, he was good at that. And it has been his catch at all times. I mean, he has always done very well. In be it traditional folk songs or contemporary music, Musa has been exceptionally good.
His brother saw the talent that was inherent in Musa's overall skill set, and his music career and life was set for a dramatic change. Abdel Kabir explains how his decision to incorporate his brother into the band of the more celebrated Gelawar helped propel late Afie to stardom.
If you listen to Gelawar's music, you hear Musa's voice. If you listen to my music, you hear Gelawar in it. People who know my music, because I mean, we made the music of Gelawar, and if you listen to my music until now, you will no doubt hear Gelawar in it. I mean, One day a scientist told me in Europe that when there's interplanetary move, it rotates on that musical note, the pentatonic Dorian scale. And he said to me, if you play your music for a child that is 2 years old, you will see how they react. And I tried it.
Musa played with some of the finest musicians in the region. While at Gelaward, he was named the group's lead singer, another masterstroke, as he went on to record some hit songs at the peak of his career. He was celebrated in life and mourned in death by the people of Senegambia. His legendary status was secured well before his demise. Musa Afia Ngom's death generated an outpouring of grief and sadness across the region. Thousands lined the streets of Touba for his burial, among them top government officials, delegations dispatched by the governments of the Gambia and Senegal. The Gambian delegation to Touba was led by the Secretary to Cabinet, Nuha Toure, and also included the Minister of Tourism and Culture, as well as the Director General of Grts. They went to Touba with a message from the Gambian leader.
On behalf of His Excellency the President, Chair Professor Dr. Yahya AJJ Jammeh, we came here as Gambians in show of solidarity to come and witness the funeral of our beloved brother, uncle, and father to some, Musa Ngom. We are very happy in terms of the reception of the people of Touba, especially Serin Falu Mbake. He has really represented and took good care of all proceedings and the funeral arrangements in Touba. We are very grateful for that.
The city of Touba, with its mosque and open minarets, with chandeliers, welcomed the many mourners who converged on this religious settlement for the burial. It was a fitting tribute to a remarkable musician and a great man. His demise, according to many, will leave a gaping hole in Senegambia's rich music industry.
I would say yes, to be quite honest. Musa had a great gift. The only sad thing, like I've always said, which you cannot attribute to anybody's fault, is that I had waited, I swear to God, to drive past a Musa Ngom's villa around Burfoot Heights or something.
He traveled between Banjul and Dakar, time and again, with a simple message, marked by his choice of footwear, a unique symbol of a greater Senegambia.
I will remember him as an artist that we will not see again. It's like Bob Marley. Bob Marley cannot be copied, and so Musa Ngom Akasa will never be copied. He will always stand as the one and only Musa Ngom, always to be remembered in his uniqueness in dress, in his stand in vocalizing his messages, and in his stand to make sure that Gambia and Senegal have a strong cultural affinity that we will never forget. That was Musa Ngom.
Grts News, this is Babukar Singh.
We will be back with news from outside the Gambia after this break. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Meanwhile, tensions remain high in Syria. Russia's defense minister said it will hold a video conference with U.S. military officials to discuss their respective air campaigns in Syria. The announcement came after U.S. and Russian jets flew within several kilometers of each other during separate airstrikes on Saturday. Now, Washington has ruled out military cooperation with Moscow, but the two sides are working together on safety procedures. Germany's foreign minister has today warned the two countries they must avoid acting in a way that could lead to conflict between them. DW has more on that.
As Russia intensifies its bombing in Syria, the U.S. continues its airstrikes. Jets from the two countries came within visible range of each other on Saturday. That's raising big risks. The two nations' jets could collide. An American jet might shoot down its Russian counterpart, or vice versa. Moscow and Washington say they're ready to talk, but they won't agree a joint strategy. Russia blames the U.S. on that point. Washington responded to our proposals to agree shared steps by saying they would not be able to send or receive a delegation, because our American colleagues are only interested in agreeing steps that would help avoid incidents. Washington accuses Russia of primarily targeting moderate rebels with its airstrikes and not the Islamic State. This amateur video appears to show the aftermath of a Russian bombing near Aleppo. President Vladimir Putin has criticized the U.S. for not working with Russia despite the shared goal of beating back Islamic State. But he insists Russia won't be deterred and will battle international terrorism until that threat has been eliminated. Russia's intervention in Syria is having an impact. But the U.S. military says Russia's true priority is supporting the regime of Bashar al-Assad. It accuses Moscow of making the situation worse.
They claim publicly that they want to fight ISIL. In reality, these reckless, these indiscriminate, these irresponsible airstrikes have had the effect and will have the effect only of prolonging the suffering of the Syrian people.
Moscow says it's still aiming for a political solution to the conflict. But at the same time, Russia says it's prepared to expand its Syrian campaign as needed. The diplomatic rift between Russia and the U.S. remains a big hurdle to ending the Syrian conflict.
Germany's intake of refugees is a divisive issue in the country. Chancellor Angela Merkel is facing opposition from inside her own coalition over what is now a controversial issue. And this week has seen more anti-immigration rallies in several eastern German cities, with the biggest held in Dresden. But how are people elsewhere in Germany coping with the thousands of new arrivals? Well, one village seems to be managing very well. We have more in the DW report.
Old military barracks in the middle of Germany have been converted into a refugee center. More than 2,000 people from around 20 different countries live here. The town was given 2 days to renovate these buildings in preparation for the new arrivals. Many residents from the village of Oebke pitched in to help. The response from people living in the area has been fantastic. We asked for help and by the weekend had over 90 volunteers. We continue to receive a lot of donations. Everything that you see here, this was all donated from people living in this area. Today it's normal to see a group of young Syrians laughing while walking down Oebke's streets. Oebke was a sleepy village up until now. But since the refugees have arrived, there's a bit more life here and in surrounding communities. The fact that there are more refugees than locals in some places doesn't seem to bother anyone.
We have enough space. They can come and rest a bit. Nobody's against that. At least I'm not.
I haven't had any bad experiences. Some of them even say hi when walking by. It has changed our town a lot. Now there's always people sitting on the benches. But we still have a lot of space here in Oebke, and we have to use it. That's what I think. And there hasn't been any problems. The local government has tried to make the move to Oebke as smooth as possible for the refugees. But it is not always easy. Most of the refugees are young men, whereas most of the locals are older. Many are retired. This telephone shop is one of the few places where locals and refugees run into each other. The owner of the shop is himself a Kurd. His family comes from the Middle East. He speaks Kurdish with some of the refugees, but is skeptical Germany can integrate everyone.
I think it's going to be a problem. I mean, if they all stay, it's definitely going to be a problem.
Only time will tell how things will develop. The government has already announced plans to relocate more refugees to Oebke in the coming weeks.
At least 7 people have died in a bomb attack in northeastern Nigeria. It is suspected that Boko Haram is behind the blast. The so-called Islamic terrorist group had taken control of large parts of the northeast, but in recent months, the Nigerian military has been able to capture more and more territory. A DW correspondent visited the town of Mubi, where Boko Haram had been exactly 1 year ago. But as we hear in this report, things are not expected to be back to normal for a long time to come.
House lies in ruins. The pastor once lived here with his family, but that was before Boko Haram came and attacked his hometown of Mubi. Nadahi was barely able to get his family to safety in the last minute.
What I've been laboring for many, many years, I lost them within just a fraction of a time. So I feel it very bad. All the church documents and the church vehicles and the property we have all burnt down.
Since then, the church next door has reopened, but churchgoers have yet to return. Members of the Christian community have become more cautious.
We have over 137 churches that have been burnt in this area. So we are looking at it this way. Who did it? Whose children are there? It is no Christian that did it. So we are skeptical about the religion.
The Emir of Mubi is the city's highest-ranking Muslim authority. He also had to flee from Boko Haram because the terrorist group also kills moderate Muslims. But since the army's liberation of the city, he no longer sees any conflicts.
If you come to one house, you will find that the junior brother is a Muslim, the senior brother is a Christian. Will these people fight? So Mubi is unique. About religion problem, we have no problem.
But Chawulu Nadahi, seen here in this temporarily rebuilt church, sees things differently.
It will take a long time for them to forget about this issue, because some of the things that our children have seen, their father are being slaughtered even on their presence. But gradually, we believe we tend to forget it and accept one another once more.
The pastor has preached forgiveness to his congregation more frequently in recent months than before. And in spite of all the suffering, he hasn't lost hope for the future.
Now remembering the story about Cecil the lion in Zimbabwe, the case drew international attention to the issue of trophy hunting. But experts say foreign hunters are not the biggest danger facing African wildlife. Researchers are hoping new techniques will help local communities avoid contact with lions that could lead to the animals being killed. We have more in this DWTV report.
The killing of Cecil the lion sparked worldwide outrage about trophy hunting. Many took to social media to demand an end to the practice. Cecil's celebrity status turned the spotlight on conservation. But researchers say trophy hunters do not pose the biggest threat to lions in Africa.
40% of the ones that have died whilst we've studied them have died at the hands of livestock owners or in relation to livestock depredation. So the authorities have shot them or they've been snared or poisoned. 40%. So that in terms of direct mortality, it's by far the biggest.
Zimbabwe's Wenge National Park. This is where Cecil used to live. The vast area is home to an estimated 500 adult lions, and the park is not fenced in. Many cattle farming communities have settled on the edges of the Wenge, and lions frequently cross into human territory. And if livestock is lost, villagers often protect their herds by killing the lion.
It's very important that I tell you that.
Now, a new program aims to reduce conflict between humans and lions. Locals are trained as lion guards, learning to use GPS and mobile phone technology to track stray lions. The guards notify villagers and lead efforts to chase the animals back into the park. Mobile cattle pens are also used to protect the livestock at night.
We've noticed that the challenges from predators has gone down, meaning to say our animals are protected and the predators are kept away.
Cecil the lion caught the attention of the world, but the Wenge researchers say conservation is a luxury that many can't afford, and that issues of poverty need to be addressed. But programs that help make cattle safer should protect the lions too.
We take our second break now. A look at sports when we return. Welcome back. The wrestling desk officer at the National Sports Council has applauded the national wrestling team for their performance in the just-ended ECOWAS Wrestling Championship. The Gambian team finished fourth, beating 9 other participating countries that saw the top spot. Well, at the end of the Dakar Championship, GRT's Mamadou Diallo spoke to Alaji Abdoulaye Bojang. Here's an excerpt.
Now that we have come to the end of the championship, I want to sound your impression about the tournament.
Well, first of all, Modu, I will say, thank God, who have given us the train to come to Senegal. And also, to say thank you to the president, say Professor Alhaja Ejeje Jammeh, and the Minister of Youth and Sport, go to National Sport Council, and also the Federation. Bouncing down to, GRTS and other journalists, and also, all Gambian people, definitely have supported, this call. But definitely, the way it is organized, Modu, I'm impressed, but innerly, if you look at it, there are a lot of hitches, in between. First of all, when we came, we have a meeting, at the ECOWAS level, where we also have reported, we are not satisfied the way it is organized, it's like Niger, Senegal, Niger. And, there was a time, with the late Max Jallo, may God, give him Jannah, he also tried it a lot, until we have, the 4 supernation. These four supernation, it was a trial, and I think it is like excellent according to them. Not even very good, but excellent. So this is the question which we raise, and we say why it is that we cannot host it, And also we said sometimes it is difficult for some countries maybe to host this kind of event, but let them write to the countries, and then see which country will be able to host it with a budget. So basically that's what we were discussing, and also, our reference side, that is the technical table. The technical table, if we look at it, I think Gambia is qualified to be there, because we are also organizing the same traditional wrestling that Senegal is doing. But if you look at the table, it's like it's Senegal that dominated it. Which I'm not saying, I'm not satisfied, but at least, we are sister country, we could have been part of it. So we've also pushed that ahead, and they told us that referees like Kausu, next time, he will be on, and Jibrin. This is where, we stop at the meeting. But coming back to the competition, I'll also applaud the boys. I think they tried very, very well. If you wrestle up to, semi-finals, and I thought Gambia this time, they surprised everybody. So it was a threat. And I will also, said in this venture that I think there's also a game that was playing, because I even told Aliu, that is this Senegalese. Because if you look at these 3 referees, 2 are from Senegal, the other one in the middle. And the guy who raced against Gambia, he is part of the guy that select the referees. So sometimes it's like, if their other guy did not go with him, then that's a problem. So these are where they're trying to do their small technicalities, to stop, Gambia. And I know, you are a clear witness to it. You find all the stadium, everybody was not happy. Everybody. Even you, Modu, I have never heard you where you shouted, this is not fair, but everybody. And to go back to everything, I'll thank the Gambians that came here, with the team, that they've performed. We also went to the 3rd place, that is today, Our captain, that is Leket, have tried, but he has injury that we've sung. But the 66-76, You know, they fight very well and they won. So we needed only 1 point. You know, so it could have been, you know, we could have also made more efforts. At least we could have get the 3rd place. But alhamdulillah, if you look at the ranking, we are number 4. So next time when they are doing the drawing, Gambia is going to be on top because that's how they do the ranking. The first one will be Senegal, then followed by Niger, Nigeria, then us. So this is the ranking.
And before we take leave of you, a recap of the day's main stories. Dead but not forgotten, musician Laingam has been recounting the musical journey of the late Musa Afyangam. A 3-year intervention designed to protect Gambian workers whilst ensuring economic advancement, dubbed Decent Work Country Program, has taken off the ground. Gambian scientists and representatives of stakeholder institutions have been exploring means of promoting research in the Gambia through Partnership for Sustainable Socio-Economic Development. Berlin has warned Moscow and Washington against actions that could lead to open conflict, this as the major powers pound targets in war-ravaged Syria. And thousands of migrants and refugees are continuing to pour into Germany against the backdrop of stiff opposition from within the ranks of Chancellor Angela Merkel's governing coalition. That was all in this edition of the news. Thanks for the pleasure of your company. Do stay with us. I was your presenter, Fatma Tandur Job.